Hello, hello, hello. Some quick context before we get into the video. What you're about to watch is a compilation of a Spencer Mansion anniversary event we had at my Twitch stream, where we read the RE1 novel while playing a modded version of the game. I hope you'll enjoy it. It should at least offer some good listening for you, and if you like what you see, maybe come check me out on Twitch sometime. Links in description. Happy RE1 anniversary. Well, thanks for joining us today. I figured you like Resident Evil like a little bit. You might know a couple things, I guess.
Yeah, just a little bit. Well, while Areku does this, I'll read an excerpt from Resident Evil: The Umbrella Conspiracy. So, Latham Weekly, June 2nd, 1998. Bizarre murders committed in Raccoon City. Raccoon City. The mutilated bodies of 42-year-old Anna Mitaki was discovered late yesterday in an abandoned lot not far from her home in the northwest of Raccoon City, making her the fourth victim of the supposed cannibal killers to be found in or near the Victory Lake district in the last month. Consistent with the coroner's report of the other recent victims, Mitaki's corpse showed evidence of having been partially eaten, the bite patterns apparently formed by human jaws. Shortly after the discovery of Miss Mitaki by two joggers at approximately 9 o'clock last night, Chief Irons made a brief statement insisting that the RPD is working diligently to apprehend the perpetrators of such a heinous crime, and that he is currently consulting with the city officials about more drastic protection measures for raccoon citizens. In addition to the murderous spree of the cannibal killers, 3 others have died from probable animal attacks in the raccoon forest in the past several weeks, bringing the toll of the mysterious deaths to 7.
We don't know where Barry is.
Is everyone all right?
Barry. Where's Barry?
He's... No.
No.
What was that?
Don't know where Chris is either.
I'll go and check it out.
All right. Jill and I will stay and secure this area.
Chris? Take care.
Yeah.
Here we go. Chris swept the room, taking in the stately elegance of the environment as he realised he was alone. Whoever made that noise, they weren't here. The solemn ticking of the grandfather clock filled the cool air, echoing off shining black and white tiles. He was in a dining hall, the kind you'd only ever seen in movies about rich people. Like the front room, this one had an incredibly high ceiling and a second-floor balcony, but it was also decorated with expensive-looking art and had an inset fireplace at the end, complete with a coat of arms and cross swords hung over the mantel. There didn't seem to be any way to get to the second floor, but there was a closed door to the right of the fireplace.
Oh, I have gloves. That's neat. Also, it's them. It is absolutely a physical book.
See, listen.
Reworded.
Wesker? Jill? Where did they go?
Everybody's gone.
What happened to Jill and Wesker? Chris was a bit of a silly Billy and dropped his handgun. You know, after all, he's the team's marksman, and he dropped his handgun. Well, no, this is the novelization of the 96 game, so I've got to try and find where it coincides. The problem is that the book's obviously going with the idea that everyone's running around the mansion at the same time.
Oh, I see. No.
And somehow not finding each other. Oh, here we go. The zombie groaned as Chris fired point blank into its gut twice. The shots were muffled by its rancid flesh, and it fell against him, expelling a rush of foul, stinking air across his face. Chris pushed it away, the back of his throat locking. His hands and the barrel of his weapon were dripping with sticky fluids. The creature collapsed to the floor, its limbs spasming. Alright, so let's see what Jill's up to. Jill closed the door behind her and let her eyes adjust to the gloom, noting the two doors opposite the one she'd come through. The one on the left was open, though a small chest was pushed in front of it, blocking access. It was unlikely that Wesker had gone that way. She walked to the one on the right and tried the knob. Locked. Sighing, she reached into her pack for the picks and then hesitated, feeling the smooth weight of the mini-disc reader. Let's see what Mr. Trent thinks is so important. She slipped it out and studied it for a moment, then tapped at the switch. A screen the size of a baseball card flickered to life, and with a few more taps, small lines of type scrolled across the monitor. She scanned the material, recognizing names and dates from the local newspapers. Trent had apparently compiled every article he could find about the murders and disappearances of Raccoon, plus the pieces on the stars. Nothing new here. Jill skipped along, wondering what the point was. After the articles was a list of names. William Birkin, Steve Keller, Michael Dees, John Howe, Martin Crackhorn, Henry Sutton, Ellen Smith, Bill Rabbitson.
Oh, those are some names.
She frowned. None of the names were familiar, except... Wasn't Bill Rabbitson Chris's friend? The one who had worked for Umbrella? She couldn't be sure. She'd have to ask Chris. Assuming we find him.
Where could Chris be?
Chris is hiding under the stairs, wishing he had an adult. So for those of you who have joined, I am reading excerpts of the novelization of the first game. The novelizations are interesting, for the lack of a better word. S.D. Perry, the writer, basically created her own original OCs, and it becomes very clear as the books go on that she absolutely is smitten with Rebecca.
Oh my god. Really?
Rebecca gets 2 books where she's the star of.
Huh.
Yeah, Caliban Cove and... Is it Underground? One moment.
Caliban Cove Chambers.
Underworld! Yeah, so Zero was the last one novelized, and that was done in 2002. I think it would have been really funny if she'd written 4. There was a plain-looking door to the left. Chris pulled at the knob, but it was locked. He squinted at the key plate, and wasn't all that surprised to see an etching of what looked like armor. Sword, armor. There was a definite theme developing.
Ominously snooting. Newt snoot. Not actually know that you could do this for the longest time.
That's got to be a pretty cozy room.
Mm-hmm. You could just have a seat right here and fall asleep.
And just wait for this whole thing to blow over.
Or blow up. No, in the series, yeah.
Wesker's like wandering around the mansion, wondering why he's not getting any combat data. And the entire like Stars team is just sat around the fire with like hot cocoa and marshmallows.
Well, that is a safe room. Why not?
So, let's count the people running around the mansion at this point. So, we have Jill, Barry, Chris, Wesker, Richard, Rebecca, Sergei Vladimir, with his personal tyrant.
Wait, Vladimir's here?
Yes.
Actually did not know.
Because, as it turns out, the Talos tyrant is here in the mansion somewhere.
Huh. I forgot a lot about Umbrella Chronicles.
Yeah, there's an invisible water box of bullets there. Silly. Ooh!
That was very close.
That was very close. Rebecca didn't hesitate. She leapt forward and pressed the button, releasing a cloud of chemical mist into its face, tensing herself to run past it. Yeah! It yelled, and fell back against the door, slamming it shut and covering its eyes, spluttering. It wasn't a monster. She just maced one of the alphas. Oh no! Rebecca was already reaching into her field medical kit, her immense relief at seeing another of the stars battling with a monumental embarrassment. She fumbled out a clean cloth and a tiny squeezed bottle of water, stepping toward him. Keep your eyes closed, don't rub at them.
It's weird they removed that scene.
Alright, what's Jill doing? Jill picked up one of the leather strips and then put it down quickly, wiping her fingers on her pants. She couldn't be sure, but it felt like she imagined tan, cured human skin would feel. Stiff and kind of greasy. Crash! The window behind her exploded inward, a lithe, sinewy form, lunging into the hall, growling and snapping. It was one of those mutant killing hounds, its eyes as red as its dripping hide. It charged her, its teeth as bright and dangerous as the jagged glitter of glass, still falling from the shattered frame. Backed between two of the chests, Jill fired. The angle was wrong, the bullet splintering the wood at her feet as the dog jumped to her, growling deep in her throat. It hit her in the thigh, slamming her painfully against the wall, gnashing together its jaws at her flesh. The smell of rotting meat washed over her. She fired again and again, barely aware that she was moaning in fear and disgust, a sound as guttural and primal as the furious dying shrieks that came from the canine abomination.
Oh no.
So things are going well.
So, yeah, sounds like it. Knocked him down.
The fifth bullet fired directly into its barrel chest, knocked it away. With a final, almost puppyish yell, it crumpled to the floor, blood gushing into the tan carpet.
Anything in the novelization about Itchy Tasty?
Yes, actually.
Well, we're here.
Intrigued, Chris picked it up and flipped through the last few pages. Maybe there was a clue as to what the hell was going on. He sat on the edge of the cot and started to read. May 9th, 1998. Played poker tonight with Scott and Elias from security, and Steve from research. Steve was a big winner, but I think he was cheating. Gumbag. Chris smiled a little at that. He skipped down to the next entry and his smile froze, his heart seeming to pause in mid-beat. May 10th, 1998. One of the higher-ups assigned me to take care of a new experiment. It looked like a skinned gorilla. Feeding instructions were to give it live animals. When I threw in a pig, the creature seemed to play with it, tearing off the pig's legs and pulling out the guts before it actually started eating. Experiment? Could the writer be talking about the zombies? Chris read on, excited by the find. The diary obviously belonged to someone who worked here, and had to be, meaning that the cover-up was even bigger than he'd expected. May 11th, 1998. Around 5 a.m, Scott woke me up. Scared the shit out of me too. He was wearing a protective garment that looked like a spacesuit. He handed me another one and told me to put it on. Said that there'd been an accident in the basement lab. I just knew something like this would happen. Those assholes in research never rest, even at night.
Oh, it's not
May
word for
12th,
word.
1998.
He said assholes instead of bastards.
I've been wearing the damn spacesuit since yesterday. My skin's getting grimy and feels itchy all over. The goddamn dogs have been looking at me funny, so I decided not to feed them today. Screw them. May 13th, 1998. Went to the infirmary because my back is all swollen and feels itchy. They put a big bandage on it and told me I didn't need to wear the suit anymore. All I want to do is sleep. May 14th, 1998. Found another blister on my foot this morning. I ended up dragging my foot all the way to the dog's pen. They were quiet all day, which is weird. Then I realised some of them had escaped. If anyone finds out, I'll have my head handed to me. May 15th, 1998. My first day off in a long time and I feel like shit. Decided to go visit Nancy anyway, but I tried to leave the estate. I was stopped by the guards. They said the company's ordered no one leaves the ground. I can't even make a phone call. All these phones have been ripped out. What kind of bullshit is this? May 16th,
That entry
1998.
is actually completely new.
Rumours going around that a researcher who tried to escape the estate last night was shot. My entire body feels hot and itchy, and I'm sweating all the time now. I scratched the swelling off on my arm, and a piece of rotten flesh just dropped off. It wasn't until I realised the smell was making me hungry that I got violently sick. The writing had become shaky. Chris turned the page and could barely read the last few lines. The words scrawled haphazardly across the paper. May 19th. Fever gone but itchy. Hungry and eat doggy food. Itchy, itchy Scott came. Ugly face so killed him. Tasty. // itchy. Tasty. The rest of the pages were blank. Chris stood up and slipped the journal inside his vest, his thoughts racing. Some of the pieces were finally fitting into place. Secret research at a secretly kept estate, an accident in a hidden lab, an escaped virus or infection of some kind that altered the people working here, changing them into ghouls. And some of them got out. The murders and attacks on raccoons started in late May, coinciding with the effects of the accident. The chronology made sense, but what kind of research was being done here? How deeply involved was Umbrella? How involved was Billy? He didn't want to think about it. But even as he tried to clear his mind of the thought, a new one occurred to him. What if it was still contagious? He hurried to the door, suddenly desperate to get back to Rebecca with the news. With her training, maybe she could figure out what had been unleashed in the secret lab on the estate. Chris swallowed heavily, even now. He and the other stars could be gay. I mean, infected. Infected. That's what it says, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't... some of the files in Outbreak are actually pretty good. That's why the only time I got hit, I actually hurt myself with the grenade. Anyway, I couldn't say, but I didn't know you could read the Itchy Tasty book and then leave the room without him actually coming out of the closet. I almost did that, but felt better. Like
what, so
iconic.
you forcibly outed him?
Yeah, forcibly outed him out of the closet, just like I do with you every day.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, I'm not wrong. And unfortunately, I think I will let Richard die.
Really?
Yep, because if you do that, you get to do the V-Jolt thing with Rebecca later.
What, you don't want the assault shotgun?
It's fine. We got Cowgirl Rebecca.
Chris
Forgot about
Redfield,
that.
Alpha
It's
Team. We're here to
terrible
rescue you.
demons. Ouch.
Richard, what the hell happened to you?
Forcibly outing Zem is always morally correct. True.
Chris, this place. Get your team out of here. Demons.
So Richard
everywhere.
right now is a good representation of me if I ever end up at a furry convention.
Poisonous snake.
I'm just on the floor
The size of
dying,
the
you know.
bite mark is huge.
We're gonna let that. We'll have that
It's-
happen someday.
Not just any ordinary snake.
I was kissed
My
by a
word for
fox.
He needs
The
serum.
smooch mark is huge.
Left it in another
Yeah.
room.
Fatal, I'm
I'll go
afraid.
get it.
Please hurry.
Hold on. I'll be back.
Oh, we're at Forest, and I just got to Forest in the book. Chris crouched down next to the still body, carefully prying Forest's Beretta from beneath. Cool fingers. He told himself he wouldn't look, but as he reached for Forrest's belt pack, he found his gaze fixed upon the terrible emptiness where the Bravo eyes had been. Jesus, what happened? What happened to you, man? Forrest's body was covered with wounds, most an inch or two across and surrounded by raw bloody flesh. It was as if he'd been stabbed hundreds of times with a dull knife, each vicious cut ripping away chunks of skin and muscle. Part of his ribcage was cruelly exposed, slivers of white showing beneath tattered redness. His eyeless, streaming stare was the crowning horror that the killer hadn't been content to take Forrest's life, wanting his soul instead.
This is why we don't mess with birds. How you doing? Well. I had a defensive item equipped and it bit me. I didn't know Forrest went past those.
There you go. And then you put the B over there.
Thank you, Zen. I would have never figured
And
it
then
out
you
without
press,
your guidance.
then you press the button. And then you get the wind crest.
Just throw it down. Sweet puzzle victory.
Speaking of the wind crest, what's Wesker up to? Finding the eagle meant that the gate was closed, and that meant that the wolf could be anywhere. Anywhere at all, and that his chances of even getting to the lab had just dropped down to somewhere near zero. Unable to control his fury, he snatched up the medal and threw the book against the desk, knocking the lamp over with a crash and plunging the room into sudden blackness. There was no longer any point in holding onto the wind crest. His perfect plan was ruined. He'd have to give up his edge and hope that one of the others would inadvertently stumble across the wolf medal for him, secreted away somewhere on this massive, sprawling estate. Which means more risk and more searching, and a chance that one of them will reach the labs before I do. Seething, Wesker stood in the dark silence with his fists clenched, trying not to scream.
Wesker just seething.
Haruki, you're making me jump back through the book.
It's me, Chris.
You okay?
Yes, I'm okay. Can't grieve forever.
Just kind of
This is
brush
the Moonlight
Richard's
Sonata.
side there.
Can you play?
Yes, I am okay. Ba, 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 ba. I guess Billy isn't the best teacher.
Clearly not.
Oh, what was that?
My interpretation is off a little. Let me practice for a while.
Sure. But don't get too carried away.
Oh, I won't.
She'll be fine. Go do something while we wait on that. Blast his head off.
Nice.
Apparently hadn't defeated a Crimson Head until then.
Grinning, she dusted the bench off and sat down, propping the sheets open on the music holder. Her fingers found the correct positions almost automatically as she read the opening notes, like she'd never given it up. It was a comforting feeling, a welcome change from the horrors inside the mansion. Slowly, hesitantly, she started to play. As the first melancholy sounds rose into the stillness, Rebecca found herself relaxing, letting tension and fear slip away. She still wasn't very good. Her tempo was off as ever, but she hit all the right notes, and the strength of the melody more than made up for the lack of finesse.
Oh, that's nice.
Chris! Chris! I think I got it!
The way she says Chris there doesn't sound natural. It's like they took the same audio clip and just placed it twice. Just really freaking gay.
Practice makes perfect.
As the last notes lingered in the cool air, a 3-foot panel of bare wall to her right slid upwards into the ceiling, rumbling to a gentle halt. For a moment she didn't move, waiting for something terrible to happen. As the seconds ticked past in silence, nothing else moved. The room was as quiet and non-threatening as before. Hidden sheet music, their strange stiffness to the keys. Like maybe they were connected to some kind of mechanism.
Imagine that. You know, it's great that Rebecca could play the song a second time right now. Just let me out, but she doesn't.
Were you all right in there?
Yeah.
Well, the book has got to the point where they find Richard, but you've already done that.
Go ahead, read it anyway. And thank you, Matt, for the gift sub. Enjoy it, Dognet.
Here we go. Richard! Rebecca immediately dropped to her knees next to the Bravo, feeling his throat for a pulse with one trembling hand. Chris stared mutely down at the torn body, already knowing that she wouldn't find a heartbeat. The gaping wound on Richard Aiken's right shoulder was drying, no fresh blood seeping through the mutilated tissue. He was dead. He watched Rebecca's slender hand slowly drop away from the Bravo's neck, and then reach up close to his glazed, unseeing eyes. Her shoulder slumped. Chris felt sick over the discovery. The communications expert had been a positive, sweet guy and only 23 years old. But it was worth it for being able to do the V-job puzzle later, thought Areku. He looked around the silent room, searching randomly for clues as to how Richard had died, at Areku's hands. The room they had entered just off the second floor balcony was undecorated and empty. Except for Richard, there was nothing. Frowning, Chris took a few steps towards the room's second entrance and crouched down, brushing at the dark tile floor. There was a dried crust of blood in the shape of a boot heel between Richard's body and the plain wooden door 10 feet away. He stared at the door thoughtfully, tightening his hold on his Beretta. Whatever killed him is on the other side, maybe waiting for more victims. Chris, look at this! Rebecca was kneeling by Richard, her gaze fixed on the bloody mass of his torn shoulder. Chris joined her, not sure what he was supposed to be looking at. The wound was ragged and messy, the flesh discoloured by trauma. Strange though, how it didn't seem very deep. See these purple lines radiating out from the cuts? And the way the muscle has been punctured here and here, she pointed out 2 dark holes about 6 inches apart, each surrounded by skin that had turned out an infected red look. Rebecca sat back on her heels, looking at him. I think he was poisoned. It looks like a snake bite. Chris stared at her. What snake gets that big? Thank you. Chris stared at her. What? Sorry. She shook her head, standing. Got me. Maybe it was something else, but that wound shouldn't have killed him. It would have taken hours for him to bleed out. I'm pretty sure he was poisoned.
Poisoned.
Chris regarded her with new respect. She had a good eye for details and was handling herself remarkably well considering. He searched for Richard's body quickly, coming up with another full clip, magazine, and a shortwave radio. He handed both to Rebecca, tucking Richard's empty Beretta into his waistband. He looked at the door again and then at Rebecca. Whatever killed him might be back there. Then we need to be careful, she said. Without another word, she walked to the door and stood there waiting for him. I've got to stop thinking of her as a kid. She's outlived most of the rest of her team already. She doesn't need me to patronise her or tell her to wait behind. He stepped up to the door and nodded at her. She turned the knob and pushed it open, both of them bracing their weapons as they edged into the narrow hallway.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, that's basically what we're doing today. Good reading, Zem. We did let Richard die, so we could unlock something different later.
No, you let Richard die.
No, your silence was compliance.
See, I was all for getting the assault shotgun, but no.
The team effort, Zem.
Oh, it's one of those things where I do all the work to get us the A and just Areku sits there like eating cake the entire time we do the project.
I do like cake.
I helped, yeah.
That guy's just standing
It's
over
true.
there.
Maybe I could have done more. Maybe I could have got an £800 flight over to Areku. Hope that in between those 8 hours Richard hadn't died and forced him to get the serum.
Yeah, there you go. See. Could have done something.
Oh, I hope you got enough ammo for this, Areku.
I only have 2 of the masks. I'm just putting them here while I can.
Oh, I got jam on the screen.
Oof. All that dang jam.
Ooh. It was a large attic. As plain and unassuming as the rest of the mansion was ornate. Wooden support beams extended from the floor to the sloping ceiling. And other than a few boxes and barrels against the walls, it was empty. Chris walked further in, his guard up as he scanned for movement. At the other end of the long room was a partial wall, maybe 4 feet by 9, standing several feet from the back of the attic. It reminded him of a horse stall, and it was the only area that wasn't open to view. Chris moved slowly towards it, his boots against the wood floor sending hollow echoes through the cool air.
Snake! Oh no. Fall around me.
Chris stumbled away as the giant reptile reared back, pulling more of its long, dusky body out of the wall. Hissing, it raised up, lifting its head as high as Chris's chest and exposing dripping fangs. Chris ran halfway across the room and spun, firing at the massive diamond-shaped head, the snake letting out a strange hissing cry as shot tore through one side of its gaping mouth, punching a hole through the tightly stretched skin. It dropped back to the floor and whipped itself around toward him with a single waving push of its muscular body, at least 20 foot long. Chris fired again, and Chunky scared. Oh, you left.
Poison. I need serum.
What was wrong with your character's nipples just there?
Yeah, that's been a thing the whole time. It's funny. See? Just a funny issue with the textures on the mod. Cybernetic enhancements.
Chris realised suddenly that although he'd never cared before, he now absolutely hated snakes. That's okay, because Rebecca will just kill with vtuber. You can't even carry it. He can't pick it up and drink it. He has to pick it up, put it in his pocket, and then pull it out of his pocket and then use it.
Boom. Oh, gee, there's a dead guy in the coffin.
Nothing can go wrong.
Oh, and he's down for the count. That's not it, is it? There he is. Oh. Well, I guess I'm using the grenade. Did not have this blow up in my face this time. How nice of him to move off screen so we wouldn't see all the gore. The grenades are so strong. Really, I guess I should have just run up to him right away. Whoop, that was the wrong button.
They moved out into the calm night air, crickets and cicadas buzzing sleepily in the surrounding woods. They were in a kind of courtyard, high brick walls on either side, an offshoot walkway to the left. Chris could hear rushing water nearby, and the mournful cry of a dog or a coyote in the distance. A lonely, faraway sound. Speaking of dogs, there are a couple of them sprawled across the wet stones, soft moonlight glistening against their wet, sinewy bodies. Chris edged up to one of them and crouched down, touching his flank. He quickly pulled his hand back, scowling. The mutant dog was sticky and warm, like it had been sheathed in a thick layer of mucus. He stood up, wiping his hand on his pants. Hasn't been dead long, he said quietly. Less than an hour, anyway.
It's Magnum time.
With a dull clang, the elevator stopped in the kitchen. There was a squeal of dry metal hinges and footsteps, and Captain Wesker stepped into view, his perpetual sunglasses propped on his tanned brow. Barry lowered the revolver, grinning as cool relief swept over him. Wesker stopped in his tracks and grinned back at him. "Barry, just the man I was looking for," he said lightly. "God, you gave me a scare. I heard the elevator start up and thought I was going to have a heart attack." Barry trailed off, his grin faltering. "Captain," he said slowly, "where'd you go? When we came back, you were gone." Wesker's grin widened. "Sorry about that. I had some business to attend to. You know, call of nature." Barry smiled again, but was surprised by the confession. Trapped in hostile territory and a man had gone off to take a leak? Wesker reached up and lowered his shades, breaking their eye contact, and Barry felt a little nervous. Wesker's grin, if anything, seemed to grow wider. It looked like every tooth was showing. "Barry, I need your help. You ever heard of White Umbrella?" Barry shook his head, feeling more uncomfortable by the second. White Umbrella is the sector of Umbrella Inc., a very important division. They specialise in biological research, I guess you could say. The Spencer estate houses their research facilities, and recently an accident occurred. Wesker brushed off a section of the kitchen's centre island and casually leans against it, his tone almost conversational. "This division of Umbrella has a few ties to the STARS organisation, and not long ago, I was asked to assist in the handling of the situation. It's a very delicate situation, mind you, very hush-hush. White Umbrella doesn't want to whisper of their involvement getting out. Now what I'm supposed to do is get to the laboratories in the grounds there and put an end to some rather incriminating evidence. Proof that White Umbrella is responsible for the accident that's caused so much trouble in Raccoon as of late. The problem is, I don't have the key to get to those labs. Keys, actually. And that's where you come in. I need you to help find those keys." Barry stared at him for a moment, speechless, his mind churning. An accident, a secret lab doing biological research, and murdering dogs and zombies loose in the woods? He raised his revolver and pointed it at Wesker's smiling face, stunned and angry. "Are you insane? You think I'll help you destroy evidence, you crazy son of a bitch?" Wesker shook his head slowly, acting as if Barry were a child. "Ah, Barry, you don't understand. You don't have a choice in the matter. See, a few of my friends from White Umbrella are currently standing outside your house, watching your wife and daughter sleep. If you don't help me, your family is going to die." Ooh. Poor Barry.
That actually sounded kind of neat, though I didn't like the mental imagery of Wesker showing all his teeth. Wesker is a wanker. Yeah, we done knew that.
Oh, there's the bit for this bit as well. The heavily shaded path was littered with branches and pine needles and appeared to border the east end of the reservoir. Passing over the open floodgate, they started toward the forced waterfall and had only gotten a few feet when it started to rain. Plop, plop, plop. Chris frowned, and in a voice informing him coolly that he shouldn't be able to hear raindrops over the roar of the raining water. He looked up and saw a twisted branch fall from the struggling foliage hanging over the rail. A branch that hit the stones and slid away smoothly. "That's not a branch."
It's a snake.
"It's a snake!"
Snake. That's the same Wesker from hit game Resident Evil 5. It is Caden when he was like 10 years younger.
Let's have a look. Panic shot through him, an all-encompassing panic that seared away rational thought. He took a giant running step and realised that he couldn't run as he plunged face first into the cold, chemical water and came up gasping, spluttering tainted liquid from his nose and mouth, hoping to God Rebecca was right about the virus having burned itself out.
Y'all see that?
He whipped his head
actually
around.
bit my tail.
Eyes burning, searching for Finn, and saw it as at half the distance between them. He could see it now. A shark, its rippling, distorted body sliding easily through the water, 10 or 12 feet long, its broad tail lashing it forward, and black, soulless eyes set above its pointed grin. Wet bullets misfire. Chris stumbled away backwards, knowing that he didn't stand a chance outrunning it. Wheeling his arms for balance, he sloshed heavily through the dragging water, turning himself sideways and managing to a few more steps before the shark was on top of him. And he leaped to the side, dodging the animal and slapping the water as violently as he could, churning it into foaming waves. The shark slid past him, its smooth, heavy body brushing against his leg. As soon as it was past, Chris fumbled after it, splashing wildly to keep up as he turned the corner in the flooded room. If he could stay close enough, it wouldn't be able to turn and get at him. Except that in seconds, the shark would have had room to maneuver. He could see the two doors ahead on the left, but the giant fish was already leaving him behind, heading towards the next corner to turn around and come back at him.
Okay, we got it first try.
Emergency drainage system. You've got to be kidding me. Why didn't anyone pull this thing the second the tank broke? The answer occurred to him even though, as he thought it, the people who worked here were scientists, knew they were going to turn down the opportunity to study their precious Plant 42, sucking at water from the man-made lake. Chris grabbed the lever and pushed it down. There was a sliding metallic noise outside the door, and immediately the water level started to drop.
Hello, Ray. Thank you for the love.
You gotta drain the water, don't you?
All right.
Ah, well done.
Did it.
Chris grinned, thinking that he should probably feel pity for the helpless creatures, and hoping instead that it died a long, agonizing death. Bite me, he whispered.
Okay, this just looks like drugs.
There were 2 green herbs inside.
Well, the sharks don't float this time, at least.
Yes, I am reading from that novel.
Whoa. Most difficult boss in the series right here. Puts the door in Outbreak to shame.
Oh, the lever! Bonk!
Wrong lever! Cool.
Wait, a residence key? I hope there isn't evil in that residence.
Resident Evil.
Oh, we said it! Credits roll. Look how washed out these textures are. Well, I guess the
Yeah.
pre-rendered backgrounds are.
Yeah, I thought the shark looked a bit weird too. Got so much ammo.
Because basically, they had all the files for it when they made Umbrella Chronicles. Because that's how they just ported the levels for 0 and 1. And obviously, you know, Outbreak was used for 3.
Mm-hmm.
So in between, what, 2008, I think, was Umbrella Chronicles?
Yeah, I think so. I was 18.
And what, when was this? 2011?
Yeah. Somewhere around
So
there.
in 3 years, they managed to lose those files for the first game.
Yeah, those, Rebecca,
Chris!
how'd you get through those double doors? They were locked.
It's no use. The roots are in the basement. You can.
No!
Take that file. It'll tell you how to make the potion to kill this thing.
Here,
Use it on its roots.
read the book.
Hurry.
Take the potion. Make the magic potion.
Chris!
I've seen this animation on FA, I think. Oh no.
How does she exactly apply that? Does she just kind of like hold it out and it just like dips the tentacle in and it just starts...
Something like that.
Yes, in the original Resident Evil 2, you have to do it 50 times to find that picture. In Remake, you just have to find both secret items.
I don't know what's up with the stickers on my nose. I kind of dig it. Got it. They look amazing. Thank you, Shinigami.
They stepped into the huge open room. The smell of rotting vegetation thickened the damp air. Whatever it had looked like before, the monster that had been Plant 42 was now a massive steaming lake of dark purple goo in the center of the room. Bloated dead vines the size of fire hoses draped limply across the floor, extending out from the livid, gelid mass.
This room is equipped with all sorts of medical supplies. I could pretty much treat any wound. Want me to treat your wounds?
Also, some of the
Yeah,
dialogue
would you?
just isn't captioned at all. It's very weird. Treat my snoot, Rebecca.
Thanks.
Somebody sure knows how to get a deal. Most of the medical supplies here are from Umbrella.
Umbrella.
Don't you know? They're only the biggest taxpayers around here. They make most of these medicines right here. Homegrown in Raccoon City.
Homemade.
A giant company being a taxpayer?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Question is, Areku, are you going to rescue Jill?
I mean, may as well.
Oh, so what? Richard isn't good enough.
Yeah, they basically.
Wesker?
Chris, you're alive.
My words exactly. Where's Jill?
You're
Thought you
alive.
were with her.
Yeah, I know. We got separated.
I see. Anyway, we better find a way out of here before we turn into zombie food. Got any suggestions, Wesker?
We should get a better grip on the situation. There must be areas still to be
Yeah.
explored in that other mansion.
Jill's optional.
Chris, I want you to check them out one more time. I'll continue my
Rescuing Chris is
investigation
also
here.
optional
Sure
in
thing.
Jill's level. Jill's campaign. Dead bugs on the floor. Why are you wearing sunglasses at night? Stop being edgy. No, we haven't reached Chris's arc of letting all of his teammates die on like 3 separate occasions yet.
So, let's count how many times people around Chris die. So, number 1. Stars. Number 2. But it's It's not that bad in his early career. It's once we hit like RE6, then they just start giving him the same arc every game.
Yeah. RE6 and then the RE7 DLC, and then I think one of the movies.
Vendetta, he loses Diego. No, not Diego. Diego's the bad guy. The one of the characters who looks like Soap from Modern Warfare, he dies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and yeah, and what kicks off the plot in Vendetta is his like team dying. Yeah, I don't have anything here because they don't go back to the mansion in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, time for the snack.
Snake! It's Snake!
Let's see if they actually do kill. No, because they don't go back to the mansion.
Make animal bigger. It's the secret.
Yeah, we're actually running out of book. The book kind of goes a bit Resident Evil 0 on us in that it spends most of its time in the mansion and then speeds through the rest of it.
That explains where all the excerpts went. But I hope y'all enjoyed the book reading. Just gotta give him that command.
Oh my god. Stop using it!
Keep using it,
Stop
chat. Keep using it. He's like, no, don't do it.
Stop it!
Another egg.
And while we wait for Areku, I shall read an excerpt from Resident Evil: The Umbrella Chronicles by S.D. Perry.
Oh god, there's an Umbrella Chronicles book?
Yeah.
Did
God,
they,
that'd be funny.
Did they recycle
I meant the Umbrella Conspiracy. I apologize.
I was gonna say, did they recycle the text from Outbreak 2? Not everyone will get
It's
that.
it's just nothing but David having emphysema. I sit here trying to think of where to begin, of how to explain in a few simple words all that's happened in my life since we last spoke, and I fail. I hope this letter finds you well and whole, and that you'll forgive the tangents of my pen. This isn't easy for me. Even as I write, I can feel the simplest of concepts slipping away, lost to feelings of despair and confusion. But I have to tell you that what's in my heart before I can rest. Be patient and accept that what I tell you is the truth. The entire story would take hours for me to tell you, and time is short, so accept these things as fact. Last month, there was an accident in the lab.
Don, we got an interruption. Hello, Jade. Thank you for the reset.
How dare you interrupt my reading! What was I? Oh, you threw up my groove.
I'm sorry, you've thrown off the hyena's groove. Right out the window.
Last month, there was an accident in the
You're
lab,
fine.
and the virus we were studying escaped. All my colleagues who were infected are dead or dying, and the nature of the disease is such that those who still live have lost their senses. This virus robs its victim of their humanity, forcing them in their sickness to seek out and destroy life. Even as I write these words, I can hear them pressing against my locked door like mindless, hungry animals, crying out like lost souls. There aren't words true enough, deep enough to describe the sorrow and shame that I feel knowing that I had a hand in their creation. I believe that they feel nothing now, no fear or pain, but that they can't experience the horror of what they've become doesn't free me from my terrible burden. I am in part responsible for this nightmare that surrounds me. In spite of the guilt that has burned into my very being, that will haunt my every breath, I might have tried to survive, if only to see you again, but my best efforts only delayed the inevitable. I am infected, and there is no cure for what will follow. except to end my life before I lose the only thing that separates me from them, my love for you. Please understand, and know that I am sorry. Martin Crackhorn. Who only exists in the book.
Huh.
It's
Yeah.
like having a name like Foxfire or something. It's just like it's stupid, isn't it?
Martin Crackhorn, I don't care. Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Gay!
The gayest.
Areku, you're pitiful. And you're gay!
Well, you got me there. So, it's time for whatever excerpt from the book starts out the cave section.
Oh. Well, in the book, it's Jill going through the caves.
Yeah, even though it's Jill, what do we have in entering the caves?
Ooh! Jill. Jill stood at the edge of a yawning open pit in the dank tunnel, staring helplessly at the door on the other side. The pit was too wide to safely jump, and there was nowhere to climb down. At least not that she could see. She'd have to go back and try the door by the ladder. Her frustrated sigh turned into a shiver. The damp chill emanating from the stone walls would have been bad enough without her having been dripping wet. Great secret passage. To use it, you have to catch pneumonia. A glint of metal caught her gaze as she turned, feet squelching in her boots. She peered down at it, brushing a wet strand of hair out of her eyes. It was a small iron plate set in stone, a six-sided hole about the size of a quarter at the centre. She looked back at the door thoughtfully. Maybe it works a bridge or lowers stairs?
Down we go.
Yeah. So she's trying to turn the rotating cave puzzle.
That must have, this over here must have been like a nightmare to design. Be quite a turn of events.
Enrico, don't come any closer, Chris. What happened?
There's a traitor in stars.
Enrico be like,
Double-crosser.
I know what you are.
Enrico, wait.
That's a good shot.
Enrico! Enrico! Double-crosser.
Enrico's body jumped as two holes suddenly appeared in his chest. Blood pulsing out of them in violent spurts. Through the resounding echo of the shots, running footsteps clattered away down the corridor behind them. Barry launched to his feet and sprinted around the corner as Jill helplessly squeezed Enrico's twitching hand, her heart pounding and sick. He slumped over, dead before he touched the cold stone floor.
Messed up, bro.
Wonder who did that.
Three kobolds in a trench coat. Just you wait, Boulder. Chris will have his revenge someday. Oh no, not my tail!
What?
Now the weird puzzle room. This room will take a minute. Can we get a book excerpt?
Oh, should we see what Wesker's doing?
Sure.
Wesker stood in the darkness of the unlit tunnel, his irritation growing as he listened to Barry stumble through the echoing corridors. Jill wouldn't wait forever, and the raging Mr. Burton couldn't seem to grasp that Enrico's killer had simply slid into the shadows just around the corner. The most obvious place there was. Come on. Since they'd left the house, he'd finally started to feel like things in his favour. He remembered the underground room near the entrance to the labs. He was almost certain that the wolf medal would be there. and the tunnels were clear. He'd expected the 121s to be out, but apparently no one had messed with the passage mechanism since the accident. They'd split up to search for the lever that worked the passages, and it had been in plain sight, propped up next to the very mechanism that he had controlled. Everything would have been perfect, except goddamn Enrico Marini had wandered along, happening across a very important paper that Wesker had accidentally dropped. His orders, straight from the head of White Umbrella. So the white, red umbrella, that gets adopted by the films, and then that eventually makes its way into the games via Umbrella Chronicles.
Weird.
Yeah, it's silly. Interesting as well is that it kind of rears its head again from 7 onwards, because we get red and blue umbrella.
That's a lot of different umbrellas.
So we get Blue Umbrella, which is the public-facing company, which, you know, they're the ones that rescue Ethan. It's who Chris was attached to in 7. They're the good guys. And then you've got Red Umbrella, which is basically just Umbrella again.
Hey, chat. Rotates your fox. This little thing on the ground is so silly.
The fox knows where it is by knowing where it isn't.
Exactly. Rotates your fox. No, heck you, rotates.
It would be interesting to see how the team fared with the 121s, the hunters. Watching the stars pit their strength and agility against the creatures would be quite a show. And sadly, one that he'd have to miss. It was too bad, really. Jackal had been caged for a long time, and he'd be very, very hungry.
Oh no, Jackal. Snoot. Snoot, snoot. Oh no, not the backward snoot. Squonky, why? I think there's actually something over here.
Yeah, I think there's a healing item inside a case.
Nice.
Oh, look at that! I truly am the master of Resident Eviling.
Congratulations, you remembered where a single item was.
Hey, it's better than the previous stream. Enrico had only managed to get out that the traitor was a he, but that didn't exactly narrow things down. Except for herself and the rookie, the raccoon stars were all male. She could rule out Chris, since she'd been convinced from the start that there was something weird going on. And now Barry, who'd been with her when Marini died. Brad Vickers simply wasn't the type to do anything dangerous. And Joseph and Kenneth were dead. Which leaves Richard, Forrest, and Albert Wesker. So I guess Richard is still alive at this point in the game. Oh no! She's completely skipped out Richard and Forrest, because Chris has found both of them.
Oh. That makes sense, I guess. Had to reload.
Praise banana.
He be nomin. Down we go into the labs.
Into the labs, okay.
Zemmy's like, I've been waiting for this. All birds are Charles.
Okay. So in the book, Gil's gone down into the labs. Chris and Rebecca are still... They're on like Planet 42's routes.
Weird. Yeah, just read the lab section. Please insert disc 2.
Alright. I guess we'll go with Jill. Jill had taken the elevator into what seemed to be another part of the garden or courtyard. Although the area had been isolated, surrounded by trees, she guessed as much from the few overgrown potted plants and the welcome sounds of the forest beyond the low metal railing. There had been nothing to see but a rusting door set to a nondescript overgrown wall, welded shut, and a large, open well, like a stone wading pool. Inside had been a short spiral staircase leading down to another small elevator, which I took, but now where the hell am I? The room that the elevator had led to was unlike any part of the estate she'd seen. It lacked the strange, fetid charm of the mansion or the dripping gloom of the underground. It was as if she'd walked out of a gothic horror story and into a military complex, a utilitarian's bleak paradise. She was standing in a large steel-reinforced concrete room, and the walls painted a muddy industrial orange. Metal ducts and overhead pipes lined the upper walls, and the room was rather aptly titled XD-R-B1, painted across the concrete in black, several feet high. Any sense she'd had of where she was in relation to the rest of the estate was totally gone.
The room was...
Although it's cold as everywhere else, at least I know I'm still on the grounds.
The room was laughing at you, labeled XD.
Lol, haha. XD, uwu, nuzzle wuzzles.
Yeah, you would. Oh, it's still up. Character got jump scared there.
Everything Areku touches becomes flaming. Typical.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that too much. Oh no, Zem, your hair's on fire.
Ah!
Oh, it went out.
Well, you know what, chat? All this talk about food and drink, and it being so early in the morning, has really built up a thirst.
I'll take a drink, thank you. Actually got a big jug of water with me today.
Yes. So will I, Areku. This is the sound of me opening a can of Resident Evil T-Virus Antidote Energy Drink.
Oh, going into his collection now.
Here we go. See if this catches on camera. Alright. Still smells good. Alright, so in the glass it's red.
Oh wow.
How past the sell-by date is this?
Please don't like poison yourself.
I can't seem to see a date.
Clearly that means it's good forever.
Made in the USA. Nutritional facts: it's 110 calories. No fat. No cholesterol. 5% sodium. And 10% carbohydrates, of which most of it is sugars, as you can imagine.
Of course.
No proteins.
Zimby. Really is the T-virus when it ages far enough.
I kind of want to. I want to find the expiration date before I drink this.
I would be advised.
Considering I bought this back in what? It's got to be about 2017.
Surely an energy drink can last like 5 years.
Well, it's canned, so it should be alright.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the absence of an expiration date, I guess bottoms up, chat.
Oh no.
Here we go. Smells cherry-like. It's quite nice.
Oh, nice. Gotta work off that fluffy chest and paws. Exactly, Krug.
I think it's cherry flavour. You can definitely tell it's American because, like, the second highest content beyond water is high fructose corn syrup. Right, let's do it. Google. T-virus energy drink. Oh, it's produced by the Boston America Corps. So, Psylocke, you've been involved in some capacity. It hit the markets with the release of the film Resident Evil Retribution. This product may have not been made under license of Constantine Film. It should be noted, as the logo chosen was that of Capcom's USA logo for Resident Evil 2, rather than the logo of the films.
That was very close.
Here's an Amazon review of this drink.
Look, everybody, the Nintendo GameCube. I remember those things.
5 stars. Turning into a tyrant takes a bit getting used to. Claw gets everywhere, still a hole in the shed, but surprisingly tasty.
Oh, a good review.
I will say it's actually quite nice. I've still got one sealed in my collection.
It's a very special occasion when Ian breaks into his collection and takes out the T-virus.
I tell you what. Energy drinks and all that, full of sugar, makes your mouth a bit gammy and all that,
Yeah.
I think I'll get rid of that with a Resident Evil Outbreak mint.
Oh, they made mints? Oh, spooky.
Let's see if you can hear this.
8462.
Oh, no, you can't. Come on.
I don't think we can hear it.
Outbreak mints.
What do those taste like?
Also made by Boston America Corps. I'd hope they taste like mints, to be honest, Areku. They've got the umbrella logo like stamped into a little mint. Alright, I think these mints are like 15 years past their sell-by date, but bottoms up.
This is turning into a trend. I mean, it's just a mint. What can it hurt?
I mean, it's still minty. It's a mint. I do think it's funny that both these items don't have a sell-by date on them.
Maybe they have preservatives.
So, in fact, both of these items I found in separate Forbidden Planet stores, and they're like a sort of nerd merch store over here. The T-virus antidotes I found in London, and the outbreak mints I found in Bristol.
Interesting.
Sorry, just washed a mint down with a delicious dose of T-virus antidote.
Oh,
not sick well, apparently.
That's good.
Chris, I found something. He turned and saw her pull a couple of pieces of paper out of the ashes. The edges scorched, but both sheets otherwise intact. He walked across the room and leaned down to read over her shoulder, and felt his head start pounding as the first words sank in. Security protocols. Basement level 1. Heliport. For executive use only. This restriction may not apply in the event of emergency. Unauthorized personnel entering the heliport will be shot on sight. Elevator. The elevator stops during emergencies. Basement level 2. Visual data room. For use by the Special Research Division only.
Oh my goodness.
All other access to the visual data room must be cleared by Keith Arving, room manager. Basement level 3. Prison. Sanitation Division controls the use of the prison. At least one consultant researcher, E. Smith, S. Ross, A. Wesker, must be present if viral use is authorized. Power room. Access limited to headquarters supervisors. This restriction may not apply to the consultant researchers with special authorization. Basement level 4. Regarding the progress of Tyrant after the use of T-virus. The rest of the paper was burned. The words lost. A. Wesker, Chris said softly. Captain Albert goddamn Wesker. Barry had said that Wesker disappeared right after the Alphas had made it to the house. And it was Wesker who led us here in the first place when the dogs attacked. Cool, competent, unreadable Wesker. Working for Umbrella.
How could he?
Ooh.
Also, the way that Chimera just exploded violently, just all over me, that was awful.
I had the curry of the biohazard. I made some chicken, I made some rice, and obviously I cooked the curry mix, which I had to, because I can't read Japanese, I had to go find a video of a Japanese person making it, turn on the auto-generated captions for English, and then work backwards from there to make it.
Jeez.
And yeah, it was really tasty actually. Everything was done.
Chris?
Wesker stepped into the
Jill.
elevator that led back to the
Chris,
level 3,
Wesker's the...
running through his
know.
checklist as he lowered the outer gate and slid the inner one closed. Samples collected, disks erased, power reconnected,
I can't
Tyrant
open it.
support off.
Just wait, I'll be back.
It was really
Okay.
too bad about the Tyrant. Ugly as it was, the thing was a marvel of surgical, chemical, and genetic engineering. And he'd stood in front of its glass chamber for a long time, studying it in a silent awe before reluctantly shutting down its life support. As the stasis fluids had drained, he'd found himself imagining what it would be like to see it in action once the researchers had completed their work. It would have been the ultimate soldier, a thing of beauty in the battlefield. And now it had to be destroyed. All because some idiot tech had hit the wrong button. A mistake that had cost Umbrella millions of dollars and killed the researchers who'd had created it.
Very good, Sam.
Unfortunately, as it turns out, that's not true, because that's going to get retconned later with Zero.
Oh boy. Which part's
Someone-
retconned?
The researcher hitting the wrong button. It's because it's going to turn out that James Marcus was the one that caused it all.
Of course.
Okay, here we go.
Chris!
Barry stepped out into the short hallway and Jill followed,
I saw you in the
their boots
garden.
clanking against the steel grate. The hall turned to the left just ahead and Barry slowed down on the pretense of checking his weapon, letting Jill get in front of him.
No more fun.
They turned the
Just
corner and Jill
stay with
froze,
me, kid.
staring into the muzzle
That's
of
my
Wesker's
plan,
raised Beretta. He grinned at them, his sunglasses hiding his eyes, his smile smug and leering. "Hello, Jill. Nice of you to drop by," he said smoothly. "Nice work, Barry. Take her weapons." She turned her startled gaze to him as he quickly plucked the shotgun from her hands, then reached around to unholster her Beretta, his face burning. "Now get back up to B1 and wait for me by the exit. I'll be up in a few minutes." Barry stared at him. But you said you just wanted to lock her up. Wesker shook his head. Oh, don't worry. I'm not going to hurt her, I promise. Now get going. Jill looked at him, confusion and fear and anger playing across her face. Barry? I'm sorry, Jill. He turned and walked around the corner, feeling defeated and ashamed, not to mention terrified for Jill. Wesker had promised, but Wesker's word meant nothing. He'd probably kill her as soon as he heard the elevator doors close. But what if I'm not in the elevator? Maybe I can still do something to keep her alive. Barry hurried to the lift and opened the gates, then slammed them closed and pushed the operation switch, sending it back to B3 without a passenger. Moving silently, he edged back towards the corner, listening. Can't say I'm a little surprised, Jill was saying. But how did you get Barry to help you? Wesker laughed. Old Barry's got some trouble at home. I told him that Umbrella has a team watching his house, waiting to kill his precious family. He was only too happy to help. Barry clenched his fists and jaw tight. You're a bastard, you know that? Jill said. Maybe. But I'm going to be a rich bastard when all this is over. Umbrella is paying me a lot of money to clean up their little problem and get rid of a few of you goddamn snooping stars in the process. Why would Umbrella want to destroy the stars? Jill asked. Oh, not all of them. They've got big plans for some of us. At least those of us that want to make a profit. If you snivelling do-gooders... Wesker's sounding like a Scooby-Doo villain at this point.
Yeah, I didn't think you ever really cared about money.
If it's you snivelling do-gooders that they don't want, the red, white and blue apple pie and all that happy bullshit, the way Redfield's been running around mouthing off about conspiracies, you think Umbrella didn't notice? It's hard to stop here. This whole place was rigged to blow, just in case of an accident, and the tyrant virus escaping qualifies. Once you're all dead and this facility's destroyed, no one will be able to get the truth. Son of a bitch was going to kill all of us. But enough about Umbrella. I had you brought down here for a little experiment of my own. I want to see how our most agile team member stands up to the miracle of modern science. If you'll just step through that door. Barry flattened himself against the wall as Wesker stepped back, part of his shoulder coming into view. He put his hand on his coat and drew it slowly. I can't believe you're doing this, Jill said. Setting out to protect a bunch of unethical corporate blackmailers? Blackmailers? Oh, you mean Barry. Umbrella wouldn't bother with blackmail. They can afford to buy people just as easily. I made it all up to get him on board. Barry slammed the butt of his Colt into Wesker's skull as hard as he could, dropping him like a ton of bricks. End of chapter.
Oh my. Let's see how that plays out with Chris.
Wesker.
So you've come. Chris, you make me
You
proud.
did a fine job, Chris.
But of course you are one of my men.
My
Thanks.
men. It was kind of fruity.
Since when, Wesker?
I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about.
Since when have they been slipping
Oh
you a
no, you've got a
paycheck?
different costume on for Rebecca, which means she hasn't got a bulletproof vest.
I think you're a bit confused. I've always been with Umbrella. And stars were Umbrella's. No, rather, my little piggies.
My little
The
piggies.
tyrant virus leaked, polluting
Kinda
this whole
fruity.
place. And unfortunately, I had to give up my lovely members of Stars.
You killed them with your own dirty hands.
Killed them with your own dirty hands.
I said a
Oh,
bad
yes,
word,
dear.
chat.
Just like this.
Rebecca!
Don't move.
You.
I don't think you want to die just yet. I have something that's of some interest to you.
Uh-oh.
Oh no. It's the ultimate homo.
Oh, with that name, I think Zem should be in the tube.
No, you. It's you who should be in the tube.
We can share the tube.
It's my fursuit. Mass
The
production?
ultimate life form.
Ridiculous!
Tyrant.
Oh, sorry, wrong game.
Wesker, you've become senile.
You're pitiful. And you're gay.
Chris, you'll never understand. It's magnificent.
This is all just a ploy. I've injected myself with a virus and I'm waiting to get killed by the tyrant. It's silly, isn't it? But... Ah, it worked!
Owie.
Come on, you test tube freak.
That tyrant wants his $20.
Just play dead, Rebecca. Oh. Ouch. Wow, that did a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, that did like most of his health. Yeah, see, it's the revolver that's not doing a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's true. See?
Down. I'm pretty sure the revolver carried.
Nah, it was all the self-defense gun.
Zem gaslighting me about the self-defense gun chat.
Look, I mean, what's got more stopping power? Hold on. 45 Colt or Remington 22.
Uh-huh.
Chris,
It's a good thing you were wearing your bulletproof vest. There's nothing left for us to do here. Let's get...
That's it, you asked for it.
What have I asked for? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
He's jostling.
You ready?
Hmm.
You ready?
He's planning.
T-pose.
T-pose with your paws cut off.
And now I fly.
Uh-oh. Oh, yep. Well, keep flapping, Zem.
Here we go.
There he goes. Right back. You're scaring chat.
What is it?
I found a file in the lab. Apparently, there's still a lot of tyrant virus here. We should blow this whole place up.
Right. The show must go on. I'll leave that up to you, Rebecca.
I'm on it. I'll start the self-destruct system I found a little while ago.
It's not like we're out of this yet. I'll see you on the outside.
Outside.
Let's destroy all the evidence.
So, Rebecca hit the button, talking fast. Brad, there's a heliport at the Spencer estate. You have to get to the heliport. Brad, come in. There was a high, whining squeal, and Rebecca heard what must have been a word. Copy. But the rest was lost. I copy? Or do you copy? There was no way to know. Frustrated and worried, Rebecca held onto the radio tightly, hoping that he'd heard her. Suddenly, a shrill alarm blared into the silent room through some hidden speaker in the ceiling. Rebecca jumped, standing around the cold chamber helplessly. There was a buzzing click from inside the door that led to the heliport, and she hurried over, grabbing the handle and pulling it open. It had unlocked. A cool female voice began to speak, slowly and clearly over the jangling alarm. The triggering system has now been activated. All personnel must evacuate immediately, or process deactivation. You have 5 minutes. The triggering system has now been activated.
They call it the triggering system?
As the recorded message repeated, Rebecca stood in the open doorway and watched the open ladder shaft, her blood racing, waiting to see Chris emerge from the levels below. He'd only been gone a few minutes, but their time had just run out.
Oh, man. Cliffhanger, though.
The anti-Fox self-destruct sequence has been activated.
Why would they even install such a system? Racism.
Jill, sorry I made you wait.
I knew you'd come.
Let's get out of here.
Chris, you're looking a bit furry.
He's just infected. That's what it does to you.
Umbrella's true end goal is just to infect the world with furries. Why did we stop them?
Zem, do a funny. Okay. Yeah.
Let's get going!
Self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel must evacuate.
I'm in caution. I can take this.
I don't know. Funny, I guess. How did I make that sound? Well, I'm a yin, you know, just naturally.
It happens. Alright, I got the weed. I mean, mixed herbs.
Smoke weed every day.
Enjoy your lurk, Tulsi.
Tulsi Wolf is lurking for one flame.
It's fine. No one is required to chat. We are here to entertain you.
Except for me, apparently. I have to chat. And apparently everyone has to chat and call me Kay. It's apparently the other, like,
Yeah.
stipulation to tonight's stream.
Can I get some Zementh gay commands in the chat?
Can we not? Please?
You gotta. Yep, there it is.
Oh, god damn it.
It landed perfectly again. That's wonderful. Sunrises, birds sing, Zen's gay. No, don't do it. That's what I think of when you make that face.
But don't do it!
Oh, there goes Panda.
Self-destruct system has been activated.
Hi, Jill.
All personnel must evacuate immediately. Deactivating and releasing all logs.
I don't need this stuff.
This is Brad. Running out of fuel. This is your last chance. If there's anyone alive, give me a sign. I repeat, this is your last chance.
All logs.
It's your last chance!
Self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel must
Use unit. Hi, Jill.
deactivating and releasing all logs. To detonation. The self-destruct system's activated.
Good work. Brad's up in the
Thank you,
helicopter.
Rebecca. We could not tell by the alarm.
Those things are coming.
I'll take care of them.
But,
Chris, you just get in contact with Brad somehow.
okay.
Why would you run towards it?
Hmm.
You got a good defensive position there.
Because it looked cool, given where the camera was.
Plus, I mean, if you go up in the elevator, then you don't have to deal with them.
We needed a convenient reason.
God, this game is so
not to say.
stupid. I hate Resident Evil.
Yeah. Why do we even bring you on today?
Oh, this handy dandy flare box right here.
Hmm. Handy dandy. Fire off the flames. Big kaboom time.
Chris!
You okay?
Yeah.
No! My arm hurts! What the hell is that?
Poor Jill.
It had to be 8 feet tall, parts of its giant body mutilated and deformed. its grinning face focused on them even as it stood up. It moved towards them at a slow walk, the massive claw of its left arm flexing.
Ow!
No time! Brad can't land! Chris targeted the dark, tumorous thing on its chest and fired, pulling the trigger 5 times in rapid succession. 3 of the rounds finding their mark. The other 2 were within an inch of the pulsing redness, and the creature didn't even slow down. "Scatter!" Barry yelled. The stars split, Jill pulling Rebecca to the farthest corner from the towering monster. Chris sprinting towards the southern wall. Barry stood his ground, pointing his Colt at the approaching beast. 3 3.57 rounds slammed into its belly, the thundering shots echoing against the high concrete walls. The creature suddenly sped up, running towards Barry, drawing its giant claw back. And as Barry dove out the way, the thing swept past him in a running crowd, bringing its claw up as if throwing a ball in the hand. Its talons gouged the asphalt, ripping through as though it was no more than solid than water. As soon as the monster was past, it stopped running, turning almost casually back to watch Barry scramble to his feet and fire again. The bullet took out a fleshy chunk of its right shoulder. Thick blood coursed down its wide chest and joined the dripping open mass of its stomach. Overhead, the Alpha Copter still circled, unable to land, and there was still no sign that the immense creature felt the injuries. It started to run again, dropping its terrible, inhuman hand down as it went for Barry, just as his revolver clicked on empty. Barry sprinted away, but the charging monster veered at him, and its swooping claw glanced against his side, tumbling him to the ground. I think he's going to die, chat.
I'm gonna read that excerpt again, or where we left off.
Yes, Areku. Yes, I think I will, actually. So, Chris raced towards the creature, firing into its back as it bent down over the fallen Alpha. Barry was scrambling backwards, his vest shredded, his eyes wide with terror. And it must have felt like the sting of the bullets because it turned, fixing its emotionless stare on Chris. Barry staggered to his feet and limped quickly away. "We don't have any time!" Chris emptied the clip, and the last several rounds hitting it in the face. Pieces of tooth flew from the creature's lipless mouth, splattering to the asphalt in a rain of white and red. The creature didn't seem to notice and started to run towards him at incredible speed. Jill and Rebecca were both firing, shouting, trying to turn its attention away from Chris, but it was already fixated, pounding towards him and drawing its claw back. Wait for it. He dove to the side at the last possible second, and the monster went flying past, its claw mulching the asphalt just where he'd been standing. Chris ran, the horrible awareness dawning on him that the seconds were slipping past, and that they couldn't kill it in time. Barry felt blood seeping from his thigh, the top layers of several skins sliced neatly away by the tyrant's brutal swipe. The pain was bearable, the knowledge that they were going to die wasn't. "We'll blow up if we don't get chopped to pieces first." The tyrant turned its attention to Jill and Rebecca, both of them firing again at the seemingly invulnerable monster. It started its smooth, easy walk towards them, still indifferent to the bloody holes in its body. Shotgun blasts hit it in the legs and chest, 9mm bullets speckled its pasty flesh, and it didn't falter, kept on walking. Wind whipped down over Barry as the roar of the helicopter's blades suddenly got louder. He heard a screaming shout come from above. "Incoming!" Barry stared at the copter, hovering over 20 feet from the ground, and saw a heavy black object fly out of the open door to the side, hitting the tar with an audible thud. Chris was closest. He ran for it. The tyrant had almost reached Jill and Rebecca. The two of them split, each headed in a different direction, and the creature turned towards Jill without hesitating, tracking her with its strange, fixed gaze. "Jill, this way!" Chris screamed. Barry spun, and saw that Chris had a bulky rocket launcher propped on his shoulder. Yes! Jill veered towards Chris, the tyrant close behind. "Clear!" She leaped to one side and rolled as Chris fired. The whoosh of the rocket-propelled grenade almost lost to the thundering beat of the copter's rotors. The explosion wasn't. The grenade hit the tyrant square in the chest, and in a burst of incendiary light and deafening sound, it blew the monster into a million smoking pieces. Even as the tattered shreds of flesh and bone hailed down over them, Brad lowered the copter's back toward the ground, and the 4 stars ran for it. The rails hadn't touched yet as Jill dove into the open cabin, Chris and Rebecca and Barry all throwing themselves in after her. "Go, Brad, now!" Jill screamed. The bird lifted into the air and sped away.
See, I told you it'd be fine.
The calm female voice fell only on inhuman ears. You have 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. System activated. A circuit that ran the length of the width of the estate connected. With an earth-shattering thunderclap of motion and sound, the Spencer estate exploded.
Wait, who's this guy? He wasn't there. We made it.
We did it. We made it. The 4 of them were quiet as Brad piloted the copter back towards the city. And though he had a million questions, something about their silence didn't invite conversation. Chris and Jill were both staring out the hatch window at the spreading fire that had been the estate, their expressions grim. Barry was slumped against the cabin wall, looking down at his hands like he'd never seen them before. The new girl was quietly moving among them, treating their wounds without saying a word. Brad kept his mouth shut, still feeling crappy about taking off earlier. He'd been through hell since then, flying around in circles and watching the fuel gauge slowly drop. It'd been a total nightmare, and he had to take a piss like nobody's business. And then that monster. He shuddered. Whatever it had been, he was glad it was dead. It had taken all of his nerve not to fly away the second he laid eyes on it. And as far as he was concerned, he deserved a little consideration for managing to kick the launcher out the door.
You did a fine job.
He glanced back at the silent foursome, wondering if he should tell them about the weird call he got on over the radio. Right after the rookie had screamed something about a heliport through a static. Through the static, a clear, solid signal had come in, a male voice calmly giving him the exact coordinates. The guy had been listening in, which was weird, but the fact that he knew the location well enough to give Brad directions was downright spooky. He frowned, trying to remember the mystery man's name. Thad? Terrence? Trent. That's it. He said his name was Trent. Brad decided he would keep it for another day. For now, he just wanted to go home.
We were very blessed to have this very gay hyena joining us today. Thank you for sharing your collection with us, Zemi. Zemi has like every Resident Evil merchandise known to man.
I sure do, and I will be here. I will strive to be here for any mainline or Gaiden titles that Areku plays. I look forward to when Areku officially announces when he's playing Operation Raccoon City. It's definitely happening.